Good morning, dear students.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Okay. So we're going to start. The topic is protein synthesis in case of prokaryotes. Basically, in your chapter, you need to know about the prokaryotes. You do not need the eukaryotes. So study about the protein synthesis in the prokaryotes. Okay. I'm going to share the screen. Okay, so is the screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the topic is protein synthesis process in case of the prokaryotes. Okay, so we all know what is protein synthesis. That means the translation part. In the last class we have discussed about the transcription process. That means how the different types of RNAs are formed from the DNA. Okay, basically we all know that different types of RNAs are there. It may be the mRNA, it may be the rRNA, it may be the tRNA, okay, it may be the hnRNA, snRNA, okay, miRNA, siRNA, different types of RNAs are there. Okay, all are synthesized from the DNA, we all know, and the process is called transcription. Today we need to go about the translation process. Okay, now what is translation process? Translation process means the formation of protein from the RNA. Okay, the formation of protein from the RNA is called translation process. Okay, basically in this particular topic we need to understand about the mRNA only. Okay, so how the protein is synthesized from the mRNA. Okay, we do not need to know about how tRNA can produce different types of protein, how snRNA can produce different types of protein. Okay, basically we discuss about the how mRNA, which is called messenger RNA, how messenger RNA can produce the protein molecule. Okay, so this is the today's chapter, basically the translation process from where the mRNA can produce the protein molecule. Okay, so before going to that, we all know there is a concept called central dogma. We all know a concept called central dogma. What is central dogma? DNA can produce the RNA, RNA can produce the protein. Okay, DNA, RNA, protein. This is called as the central dogma of the different types of synthesis. Okay, now see, sometimes what happens, RNA can produce DNA, then DNA can produce the RNA, and RNA can also produce the protein. Okay, so RNA, DNA, RNA, protein. So this is also one type of central dogma. So this type of central dogma are found in case of some RNA viruses. Okay, so some RNA viruses are there, just like you can say retrovirus. Suppose you can also say HIV virus. So in case of the retrovirus, what happened? They having a particular enzyme. The enzyme is called reverse transcriptase. By this enzyme, they can produce the DNA from the RNA. Okay, because their genetic material is RNA. So from RNA, they can produce the DNA. Then the DNA can produce the different types of RNA, and from the RNA, they can produce the protein. Okay, so this is also a central dogma found in the retroviruses. Okay, but basically in case of the prokaryotes as well as the eukaryotes, the basic central dogma is the DNA, RNA, and protein. Okay, so today we go for the translation process, how mRNA can produce the protein molecule. Okay, so the first point, the mechanism of protein synthesis in case of the prokaryotes. Okay, so first point is called formation of amino acyl tRNA. Okay, the first point is the formation of amino acyl tRNA. So now see, we all know for a protein synthesis, different types of tRNAs are important. Okay, mRNA means what? Messenger RNA. So they can carry the message from the DNA directly. Okay, and these messages are called as a genetic code. We already discussed the genetic code chapter in the earlier classes. What is genetic code? A triplet codon. a triplet codon is called as a genetic code. So genetic code is coming from the DNA to the mRNA in terms of a message, and that's why the mRNA which is transcribed the genetic code from the DNA is called messenger RNA genetic code, okay, which is coming from the DNA. So this code can be recognized by some type of tRNA. Okay, some tRNAs are there, they can code this genetic code from the mRNA. They can decode, you can say. Suppose one sequence is there, AUG, suppose. AUG is a code found in the mRNA, suppose, you think about. And then this AUG can be decoded by tRNA molecule, okay, which having an anticodon. The tRNA having an anticodon of AUG. So what is the anticodon which is found in the tRNA, okay? That means this tRNA can match with the AUG, okay, just like. So every codon which is found in the mRNA, there is a specific anticodon found in a particular tRNA, okay, and this tRNA can code for a particular amino acid. Okay, now see, the codon is the AUG which is found in the mRNA. The anticodon is the UAC which is found in the tRNA. So the tRNA which having the UAC, this tRNA can carry one amino acid, because tRNAs are called as the transfer RNA, and this transfer RNA, they can carry one amino acid, okay. Transfer RNA can carry one amino acid along with the tRNA, okay, and this amino acid which is come along with the tRNA, and they can bind to the codon found in the mRNA. They can bind, okay. So AUG can bind with the UAC, and along with the top of the tRNA, they carry one amino acid, okay. So this is the normal functioning of the tRNA and the mRNA, okay. Now see, the point is formation of amino acyl tRNA. The point is formation of amino acyl tRNA. In a human body, inside a cell, different types of tRNAs are there and different types of amino acids are there. Okay. So how many different types of amino acids are present? We all know 20 different types of amino acids are present in a cell. 20 different types. Okay. Then how many tRNAs are there? Okay, how many tRNAs are there? Because you can see, we already discussed in the genetic code, how many codons may be generated? By triplet codon. By triplet codon, total 64 codons may be generated. Okay, total 64 codons may be generated. Okay, so for 64 codon, we have only 20 different types of amino acids. Okay, for every 64 codon, only 20 different types of amino acids are there. That means more than one codon can code for only one amino acid. More than one codon can code for one amino acid. Okay. Suppose you can see, suppose one example. Suppose one amino acid is called arginine. Suppose arginine is a one amino acid. So arginine may be coded by different types of codons. Suppose UAC, CAA, AUC, GUG, just like. So 4 or 5 different types of codons may be coded for the same amino acids, which is called arginine, just like. That means total 64 different types of codon may be calculated. Okay, based on that they can code for only 20 different types of amino acid. Okay, so that means every amino acid have to be bounded to a one tRNA, so that tRNA can carry the amino acid to the mRNA. Okay, so every amino acid have to be bounded to the tRNA. Okay, so for the binding of amino acid to the tRNA, they need a particular reaction. Okay, and this reaction is called formation of amino acyl tRNA, and this reaction is called formation of amino acyl tRNA. That means every tRNA, they can bind to a specific amino acid. Okay, every tRNA, they can bind with a specific amino acid, and this binding between the amino acid and the tRNA is called as formation of amino-acyl tRNA. Okay, so in this particular step, two different steps are there. Okay, in this particular step, again two different sub steps are there. Number one, you can see activation of amino acid. So before binding of amino acid to the tRNA, they have to first activate it. Every amino acid first have to activate it. If they are not activated, they cannot bind to the tRNA. Okay, if the amino acids are not activated, they cannot bind to the tRNA. Okay, so for the activation of the amino acid, they are helping by two important components. One is called ATP molecule. We need the ATP molecule, and we also need one enzyme. The enzyme is called amino-acyl synthetase. Remember, the enzyme is called amino-acyl synthetase, and we also need the ATP molecule, so that the amino acid, they are be activated. So when the amino acid is activated, they form a complex, and this complex is called amino-acyl adenylate enzyme complex. The complex is called amino-acyl adenylate enzyme complex. So this is the activated amino acid. Okay, just to remember, amino-acyl adenylate enzyme complex, this is the activated amino acid. Now this activated amino acid can easily bind to the tRNA. Okay, this activated amino acid, they can easily bound to the tRNA. Now see the next step, attachment of activated amino acid to the tRNA. Okay, now this complex which is called amino-acyl adenylate enzyme complex. So this complex can bind to the tRNA, and they produce one type of component which is called amino-acyl tRNA. Finally, they produce the amino-acyl tRNA, and the AMP molecule and the enzyme, they are detached. Okay, so basically the complex is what? Amino-acyl adenylate enzyme complex. It is a bigger complex. So when this complex reacts with the tRNA, when this particular complex reacts with the tRNA, then what happens? They produce amino-acyl tRNA molecule, and they release AMP molecule as well as the enzyme. AMP molecule and the enzyme, they are released, and they produce the amino-acyl tRNA. Okay, now see, we all know we having the 20 different types of amino acid. We all know. So for 20 different types of amino acid, so this type of 20 different types of activated tRNAs are also formed. 20 different types. Suppose this amino acid is methionine, then they produce methionine amino-acyl tRNA. Methionine amino-acyl tRNA. Suppose this amino acid is arginine, then arginine amino-acyl tRNA. Suppose it is guanine, sorry, not guanine, you can say suppose ascorbic acid, then you can say ascorbic acid amino-acyl tRNA, just like. So for every amino acid, they can produce one amino-acyl tRNA. Okay, so this is the first step of the mechanism of protein synthesis. The first step is the formation of amino-acyl tRNA for every amino acid. 20 different types of amino acid, 20 different types of amino-acyl tRNAs are synthesized. Okay, this is the first step. Now we go for the second step. The second step is the stages of protein synthesis in the prokaryotes. The first step is the formation of amino-acyl tRNA, and the second step is the stages of protein synthesis in the prokaryotes. Total 3 different stages are there. Okay, number 1 is the initiation, number 2 is the elongation, and number 3 is the termination. Just like same in the case of the transcription, 3 different processes are there: initiation, okay, then elongation, and then termination. Initiation, elongation, and the termination. So first point is the initiation of the protein synthesis. Okay, so what are the different aspects are formed in the initiation of the protein synthesis? Okay, so I already said one amino acid is activated, okay, which is called amino-acyl tRNA. Amino-acyl tRNA. Suppose the amino acid is methionine, this is called methionine amino acyl tRNA. Methionine amino acyl tRNA. But you can also say methionine tRNA. But basically it is called methionine amino acyl tRNA. Suppose the amino acid is a methionine. Okay. So for the initiation of the protein synthesis, we need a separate amino acid. Just to remember, we need a separate amino acid which can initiate the protein synthesis. A separate type of amino acid is needed, and this separate type of amino acid is called as, you can see, formyl methionine. This is called formyl methionine. Okay, and the tRNA is called formyl methionine tRNA. Formyl methionine tRNA. Okay, every time we say that methionine amino acyl tRNA, this is a normal one. Methionine amino acyl tRNA, this is a normal one. But we need a separate type of amino acid which is called formyl methionine tRNA. You can see this is the molecule tRNA F-mate. The molecule is called tRNA F-mate. That means we need a specific type of amino acid which is called formyl methionine tRNA. Formyl methionine tRNA. Just to remember, because every time when an amino acid is synthesized, that means one amino acid is bounding to the tRNA, they produce one component, and this component is called amino acyl tRNA. Remember, when one amino acid binding to the tRNA, it is called amino acyl tRNA. This is a normal one, amino acyl tRNA. But for the initiation of the protein synthesis, initiation process, we need a separate amino acid, and this separate amino acid is called as formyl methionine tRNA. Remember, formyl methionine tRNA. So this is needed for the initiation of the protein synthesis in prokaryotes. Okay. Now, what is the difference between amino acyl tRNA and formyl methionine tRNA? What is the difference? Okay. The difference is that there is a molecule. The molecule is called formyl molecule. So formyl molecule is attached to the activated tRNA. Okay. The activated tRNA is called what? Amino acyl tRNA. So in the amino acyl tRNA, a formyl group is added. In the amino acyl tRNA, a formyl group is added. Into which amino acid? Only in the methionine, not others. Only in the specific methionine tRNA, over there, a formyl group is added. That means what? Methionine amino acyl tRNA. Okay, methionine amino acyl tRNA. So in this molecule, a formyl molecule is added to the amino acid. A formyl molecule is added to the amino acid methionine, and then later on they produce a new complex. The new complex is called formyl methionine tRNA. Okay, this is only one, and this can initiate the protein synthesis. This molecule can initiate the protein synthesis. Okay, so you may be asked one question: which enzyme is necessary which can produce the methionine acyl tRNA to the formyl methionine tRNA? Which enzyme is responsible to convert this mechanism? Okay, and the enzyme is called as, just to remember, methionine tRNA formyl transferase. Remember, methionine tRNA formyl transferase. You just note down this enzyme, methionine tRNA formyl transferase. This is the enzyme. This enzyme convert methionine as amino acyl tRNA into formyl tRNA, formyl methionine tRNA. It can convert. Two different types of amino acids are there. Sorry, the two different types of tRNAs are there. One is called formyl methionine tRNA. One, and the normal one is also there. Methionine amino acyl tRNA, normal one. Methionine amino acyl tRNA, and one is formyl methionine tRNA. Okay, both are different, but both can start the, both can bind to the same codon. The codon is called AUG. You can see the codon is called AUG. So in the AUG codon, the normal formyl methionine tRNA as well as methionine amino acid tRNA both can bind to the AUG molecule. Both can bind. Okay, but the concept is that formyl methionine tRNA can initiate the protein synthesis, but methionine amino acid tRNA, they cannot initiate the protein synthesis. They can bind, but they cannot initiate. Only the formyl methionine tRNA can initiate the protein synthesis in case of prokaryotes. That means they can specifically bind to the AUG molecule. AUG genetic code is bounded to the formyl methionine tRNA. Okay, and it can start the protein synthesis process. Okay, now this point is very important. You can see, since protein synthesis always grows from the free terminal amino acid. Okay, protein synthesis always grow from the free terminal amino acid group, which is called amino group, NH2 group, the formyl group. Okay, now see, in the formyl methionine tRNA there is a complex which is the first molecule, the formyl methionine tRNA. So in the formyl methionine tRNA, they also having the amino group in this particular tRNA. Also amino group is there, but this amino group of the methionine is blocked by a particular molecule. The molecule is called formyl molecule. The formyl group is there. So formyl group can block the site of the amino group of the particular methionine. Okay. So in the methionine, which is called, the methionine is called as what? Formyl methionine tRNA. So in the formyl methionine tRNA, in the methionine molecule, there is a group. The group is called amino group. And this amino group is blocked by the formyl group. The formyl group is binding to the amino group and the amino group is blocked. That means they do not have the free amino group. Okay, now they do not have the free amino group. Then, when the second amino acid is come to the same particular mRNA, first molecule is what? Formyl methionine tRNA is the first molecule. When the second molecule come, then what happen? In the first molecule, they having the methionine. In the methionine, the amino group is blocked, but they having the free carboxylic group. Carboxylic group is free, but amino group is blocked. And this free carboxylic group is now, they can bind to the second amino group. In the second amino acid, having the free amino group. In the second amino acid, they having the free amino group. In the free amino group, the second amino acid, the carboxylic group of the formyl methionine, it can bind over there. So they can bind a new peptide bond over the second molecule. Okay, by the amino group of the second amino acid and the carboxylic group of the formyl methionine, they can bind over here. After the binding, they can produce a new type of bond which is called peptide bond. And peptide bond is formed in the second slot of the tRNA, not in the first slot. Okay, just to remember, in the first formyl methionine, their amino group is blocked by the formyl group. So they do not have the free amino group, but they having the carboxylic group is free. And this carboxylic group can bind to the second amino acid. The second amino acid having the free amino group. The second amino acid having the free amino group. So in the free amino group of the second amino acid, over there, the carboxylic group of the formyl methionine, it can bind. Okay, and this binding is called peptide bond formation. Okay, this is the important structure. Now you can ask me one question, that in the second amino acid, how they have the free amino group? How they have the free amino group? Because the second amino acid do not form the formyl group. The second amino acid, they do not form the formyl group. They are normal. There is normal amino acid group. So in the normal amino acid group, they do not have the formyl group. That means they have the free amino acid group. They have a free amino acid group. So in the free amino group, the carboxylic group of the formyl methionine, they can easily bind. And they can form the peptide bond. Okay? So that's why the formyl methionine is very important to initiate the protein synthesis. Because in the formyl methionine, the amino group is blocked by the formyl group, so that they do not have the free amino group, and specifically now they have to bind to the carboxylic group, to the next amino acid, because one group is blocked. So they have to bind through the carboxylic group to the another amino group of the next amino acid, and they can form the peptide bond. Okay, this is very important. That's why formyl methionine can always initiate the protein synthesis in the prokaryotes. Okay. Now see, protein synthesis in the bacteria, it begins with the association of different molecules. So different molecules have to be associated to start the protein synthesis. And what these molecules are, you can see. 30S ribosomal subunit. We all know protein synthesis is always done inside the ribosome. So that means we need to know about the ribosome also. Okay. So first molecule, which is called 30S ribosomal subunit. Okay. So before going to that, we need to know that what type of ribosomes are present in the prokaryotes. They having the 70S type ribosome. 70S type ribosomes are present in the prokaryotes. So 70S type ribosome having two subunits. One is called 30S, one is called 50S. So two subunits are there. One is 30S, which is smaller one, and the bigger one is a 50S. They produce the 70S, and which is the normal ribosome. Okay. But basically in the ribosome, both the units are separated. Okay, 30S is separate, 50S is separate. So before the start of the initiation process, both are separated. And finally they can join to produce the 70S. Okay, so before initiation ki hobo idea? First, the association of 30S ribosomal subunit, then the mRNA molecule. Okay, the mRNA is released, they coming out from the nucleus to the cytoplasm. Nucleus of cytoplasm ahi jabo mRNA. Then this mRNA are bounding to the 30S ribosome. This mRNA now bind to the 30S subunit of the ribosome. Okay, first. Then the next molecule come. The next molecule is called this one. You can see FMET tRNA. That means formyl methionine tRNA. The next molecule is come formyl methionine tRNA. Then another factors are come. These factors are called initiation factor. Basically, three initiation factors are there. Initiation factor 1, initiation factor 2, and initiation factor 3. Three factors are there. And finally, one molecule is there which is called GTP. GTP means what? Guanosine 5' triphosphate. Guanosine 5' triphosphate. GTP molecule is also needed. Okay? So these molecules are present which can initiate the protein synthesis. Kiki lagibo amar? 30S ribosomal subunit, then the mRNA molecule, then formyl methionine tRNA, then initiation factors, three different types: initiation factor 1, initiation factor 2, initiation factor 3, and then GTP molecule. Okay, so these all molecules are unite together to start the initiation process of the prokaryotes. Okay, you can see. So the initiation factor is started over here. How they are started, you can see. The mRNA molecule, 30S subunit, FMET tRNA, GTP molecule, and the initiation factors. Okay, all are bounding like that. Okay, you can see this is the small subunit which is called 30S. The 30S subunit, this is the mRNA strand. Okay, so in the mRNA strand, the first three codons are AUG. You can see the first three codon of the mRNA is the AUG. You can see this is the AUG. So in the AUG, the anticodon of the formyl methionine tRNA is bounding. The anticodon of the formyl methionine tRNA is bounding to the AUG. Okay, and they can carry the FMET molecule. The formyl methionine is carried. The formyl methionine molecule is carried along with this tRNA, and they can bind to the AUG. Okay, so this is the initiation process, and this is specifically done by three initiation factor: initiation factor 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is the first starting point. Then secondly, you can see the second point, the another subunit which is called 50S, the bigger one. Now the 50S subunit comes and they can bind over the 30S. Over the 30S, the 50S subunits come and they can bind. Okay, so the binding process of the 50S subunit to the 30S subunit, they need energy. Without the help of the energy, 50s subunit cannot bind to the 30s. They cannot bind. They need always the energy molecule is needed. And this energy is provided by the GTP molecule. You can see the GTP molecule is already there. Okay, the already GTP molecule is there. So GTP molecule is hydrolyzed. Okay, GTP molecule is hydrolyzed to the GDP molecule. GTP hydrolyzed to the GDP molecule. When they hydrolyze, they release energy. Okay, and this energy is utilized by 50s subunit, and they can bind to the 30s easily. Okay, when the energy is get from the GTP molecule, the 50s subunit easily bind to the 30s molecule. Okay, so when they binding to the 30s molecule, now this is the complex they form. Okay, this is the complex they form. AUG molecule, this is the formyl methionine molecule. Okay, this is a 50s, this is a 30s. Okay, now see, in the 50s unit, two different sites are there. In the 50s unit, two different sites are there. One is called P site, one is called A site. Remember, these two are very important for the protein synthesis. One is called P site, one is called A site. Two different sites are there in the 50s subunit. Okay, you can see. This is a P site, this is the A site. So in the P site, the formyl methionine tRNA is bind to the P site. Okay, the formyl methionine tRNA is automatically bind to the P site. Automatically. Why I can say over here automatically? Because just remember, when a new tRNA comes, remember this point very carefully. When a new tRNA comes, the new tRNA always bind to the A site. When a new tRNA comes along with the amino acid, when a new tRNA comes along with the amino acid, they always bind to the A site, not the P site. They always bind to the A site, not the P site. This is an important point. But the formyl methionine tRNA, which is the initiation tRNA, this automatically bind to the P site. They do not bind to the A site. Okay, this is the exception of formyl methionine tRNA and a normal amino acid tRNA. Normal amino acid tRNA, they always bind to the A site, but the formyl methionine tRNA can automatically bind to the P site, not to the A site. This is the difference. Okay, so they directly bind to the P site. Okay, but when the new tRNA comes, new tRNA always bind to the A site. Remember, they always bind to the A site. They do not bind to the P site. They always bind to the A site. Okay, now see, when this is binding over here, this site is free, A site is free. Okay, so this in the free area, a new tRNA come and they can easily bind over here. Okay, because this area is blocked by the formyl methionine tRNA. Okay, so this is called the initiation process of the prokaryotic protein synthesis. Initiation. For the initiation, they need this complex. They need the mRNA, they need the 30s subunit, they need FMET tRNA, they need GTP molecule, and they need three different initiation factor. Initiation factor 1, 2, and 3. When they are all are binding to each other, then the 50s subunit come. 50s subunit can bind to the 30s subunit with the help of energy, and this energy is provided by the GTP molecule. GTP molecule is hydrolyzed. When the GTP molecule is hydrolyzed, they release energy. This energy is utilized by the 50s subunit, and they easily bind to the 30s molecule. Okay, in the 50s subunit, two different sites are there. One is called P site, one is called A site. In the P site, the formyl methionine tRNA automatically bind, but the A site is free. In the free A site, later on, a new tRNA come and they can bind. Okay, so this process is called initiation complex formation in the prokaryotic protein synthesis. Okay, in this point, an important parameter is there. Just try to remember this important parameter. Okay, you can see the first point. In the mRNA, a sequence of 8 to 13 nucleotide. In the mRNA, remember, in the mRNA, a sequence of 8 to 13 nucleotide sequence is there. okay, which may be this direction. Etu direction of thakibo pare. This direction is called AGG AGGU, just like this is the direction of the amino acid, sorry, direction of the codon, AGG AGGU, like that. Total how many nucleotides are there? 8 to 13. Total 8 to 13 nucleotides are there. The sequence is AGG AGGU. Okay, total 8 to 13 nucleotides are there in the mRNA. Okay, this sequence is called the leader sequence, or may be called as a Sine-Dalgarno sequence. Remember, this sequence is called, may be called as a leader sequence, or may be called as a Sine-Dalgarno sequence. Remember. So why this sequence is very important? What is Sine-Dalgarno sequence? So this sequence can specifically bind to the 16S rRNA molecule of the ribosome. Okay. So in the ribosome, 16S rRNA molecule is there because ribosome is made with the rRNA molecule. Okay. And we are asking about the mRNA molecule. So in the mRNA molecule, there is a sequence. The sequence is called leader sequence or Sine-Dalgarno sequence, which is the nucleotide content given to 8 to 13 nucleotides are there in the sequence. The sequence is called leader sequence or may be called Sine-Dalgarno sequence. So this sequence can specifically bind to the 16S rRNA molecule of the ribosome. Okay. So why they have to bind? You can see the previous diagram. Okay, you can see. So this is the molecule called AUG molecule. Okay, now see, AUG molecule do not bind to the 13S subunit. They do not bind. AUG molecule do not bind to the 30S subunit because in the 30S subunit rRNA molecules are there. Because basically, 16S rRNA molecule is there in the where in the 30S subunit, 16S rRNA molecule. But in the 16S RNA molecule, AUG molecule do not bind. They cannot bind. Okay. Same type of 16S rRNA molecule also found in the 50S molecule. In the 50S subunit also, a same type of 16S rRNA molecule is there in the 50S subunit. When the 50S subunit bind to the 30S like that, binding to the 30S like that, the mRNA molecule is found in between both the subunit. In between both the subunit, mRNA molecule is lies. In the above 30S is there, in the below 50S is there. In between 50S and 30S, in between there, the mRNA molecule is there. Okay. Now see, the mRNA molecule, the AUG molecule of the mRNA, it do not bind to the 16S rRNA molecule of the 50S as well as 30S. They do not bind. But the mRNA molecule have to bind it to the ribosome. Otherwise, mRNA molecule comes out from the this rRNA, comes out from the this one ribosome. They can be comes out because if they do not bind anywhere. Okay, AUG molecule do not bind. So that means in the mRNA some type of sequences there, and these sequences are called Sine-Dalgarno sequence or maybe called as a leader sequence. This leader sequence or Sine-Dalgarno sequence can specifically bind to the 50S subunit 16S rRNA molecule. Okay, which is called leader. That means it is found before AUG molecule. This sequence is found before the AUG molecule. So we already said that AUG molecule is a fast codon. Actually, AUG molecule is not the fast codon. The fast codon is different. The fast codon is called Sine-Dalgarno sequence. The fast codon of the mRNA is the Sine-Dalgarno sequence. Then they come the AUG molecule. Okay. So what about the Sine-Dalgarno sequence? Sine-Dalgarno sequence specifically bind to the 16S rRNA of the 50S subunit of the ribosome. They specifically bind. When they bind, the mRNA molecule becomes stable. The mRNA molecule becomes stable inside the ribosome. It is there, and this area can bind easily to the 50S subunit 16S ribosomal structure. It can bind, and then after binding over here, mRNA becomes stable. and they open this molecule. This molecule become open. This molecule do not bind, and this area is open for this side, which is called formyl methionine tRNA. So formyl methionine tRNA can bind AUG molecule in the P side easily because mRNA molecule is stable now. Because mRNA molecule is binding to the side diagram of sequence. Okay? When the mRNA molecule is stable, then AUG molecule can bind to the formyl methionine tRNA. Initiation codon is the AUG molecule, not the signed Dalgarno. Because signed Dalgarno can bind to the ribosomal RNA, not to the fMet RNA. Sorry, fMet tRNA. fMet tRNA bind to the AUG molecule. That's why AUG is the first codon which can bind to the formyl tRNA of the methionine molecule. Okay? This is the difference. This is a very important concept. Just try to remember. When it comes, the 50th subunit having the particular GTP molecule is there. So GTP molecule is breakdown. They produce the energy. With the help of the energy, the 50th subunit can easily bind to the 30th. Okay? And after binding, the protein synthesis started. Okay, so this is about the initiation process of the protein synthesis. After initiation, they can start the elongation process. Okay, now we go for the next step is the elongation of the protein synthesis step, elongation process. Okay, now I can see. Next one is the elongation. So the elongation process of the protein synthesis is having the different steps. You can see the first step. In the first step, you can see the second charged tRNA binds to the ribosome at the A side. I already said there have been two different sites are here, P side and the A side. P side is blocked by the formyl methionine, A side is open. So in the A side, a new charged tRNA come and they can specifically bind to the A side. Okay, now the binding of the second tRNA to the A side, they need energy. They need energy. And this energy is getting from the GTP molecule. GTP molecule is hydrolyzed. After the hydrolysis of the GTP molecule, they produce energy, and this energy is utilized by the next tRNA. And with the help of this energy, the next tRNA can bind to the mRNA of the A site. In the A side of the area, the tRNA can easily bind. And this binding process is helped by one factor, and this factor is called elongation factor. You can see. They did one factor, the factor is called elongation factor. The factor is called elongation factor TU. It is called TU elongation factor. Okay? So, TU elongation factor comes, and this TU elongation factor can easily bind to the A site. In the A site, and they helps the second tRNA which can come and they can bind to the A site. So, in this process, elongation factor help. As well as they also need a GTP molecule. GTP molecule provide the energy. With the help of the energy, the second tRNA can easily bind to the A site with the help of elongation factor. Okay, elongation factor binds to the A site. Then they helps the second tRNA molecule which can bind to the A site easily. Okay, and in this process is held by a particular energy, and this energy is provided by the GTP molecule. GTP molecule is converted to the GDP molecule, and they release energy. This energy is utilized by the next tRNA, and they can specifically bind to the A site. Okay. The elongation factor TU, okay, it is detached. The elongation factor TU is detached from the mRNA. When the elongation factor TU is detached, they coming to the cytoplasm. Okay. So in the cytoplasm, they are again activated. So elongation factor TS molecule can again activate the elongation factor TU molecule. They again activated. Okay. So just to remember, elongation factor TU helps in the binding of the second tRNA to the A site. After that binding, the elongation factor is detached. Then they comes out to the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, they again reactivated in the presence of a new elongation factor, which is called elongation factor TS. So elongation factor TS molecule helps the elongation factor TU molecule to again reactivate. So this is the process. Okay. Then to go to the second point. The first amino acid tRNA. Now I already said two different sites are there, P site and the A site. In the P site, N-formyl methionine is binding. In the A site, a new tRNA is binding. Okay, now see, I already said in the N-formyl tRNA now, they having the methionine molecule. In the methionine molecule, the amino group is already blocked. The amino group of the methionine molecule is already blocked by the formyl group. Formyl group is attached to the methionine molecule and they block the amino group. But they having the carboxylic group. Okay, carboxylic group is free. Then what happened? This N-formyl methionine is detached from the tRNA. Second step is the N-formyl methionine is detached from the tRNA, which is present in the P site. P site having the tRNA, they carry the formyl methionine. So this formyl methionine is detached from the tRNA. Remember, formyl methionine is detached from the tRNA. They having the two side, amino group and the carboxylic group. Amino group is blocked by the formyl group, but they having the free carboxylic group. Now, this free carboxylic group of the N-formyl methionine, they comes and they sit over the second amino acid. In the A side, a second amino acid is there. In the A side, a second amino acid is there. In the second amino acid, the amino group is free, but carboxylic group is bounded. In the second amino acid, the carboxylic group is bounded, but the amino group is free. And in the formyl methionine, the amino group is blocked, carboxylic group is open. So in the second amino acid, the amino group is open, so they comes and sit over the second amino group. And now, the amino group of the second amino acid and the carboxylic group of the first amino acid, both are joined to each other. And this joining is called peptide bond formation. This joining is called peptide bond formation. And this peptide bond formation is catalyzed by one enzyme. And this enzyme is called peptidyl transferase. Remember the enzyme, peptidyl transferase. The enzyme is called peptidyl transferase. So peptidyl transferase helps the bonding of one amino group and one carboxylic group into a peptide bond. Okay? Just to remember, in the formyl methionine, it is detached from the tRNA, which is present in the P site. They can detach. After detachment, they having an open carboxylic group. This open carboxylic group is bounded to the second tRNA. Over the second tRNA, the amino group is there. So in the amino group of the second tRNA, they having a free carboxylic group. They having a free amino group. But carboxylic group is not free. Carboxylic group is binding to the tRNA, but amino group is free. So in the second amino acid, they having a free amino group. But the formyl group, they having a free carboxylic group. The first amino acid having a free carboxylic group, second having a free amino group. So in the second amino group free and the first carboxylic group, both are binding to each other. After binding, this is called peptide bond formation, and this is done by a specific enzyme. The enzyme is called peptidyl transferase. So peptidyl transferase enzyme helps in the binding of between two amino acids, which is called peptide bond formation. Okay? So this step is called elongation step. Okay. You can see. Over here, this is binding, and you can see this is the amino group. The amino group is called, this is the amino group F-met. Okay. In the A side, a new tRNA comes. Okay. In the A side is free over here. In this A side, a new tRNA comes. Okay. And this tRNA binding to the matching with this codon. Suppose this codon is UUU. Over here, it may be the AAA. So over the UUAA is there. Suppose AAA anticodon, they carry the phenylalanine. Suppose they carry phenylalanine. So phenylalanine can bind over here. When the phenylalanine bind over here, then what happen? This F-met molecule is detached from this tRNA. From this tRNA, this F-met molecule is detached. So when it is detached, this F-met molecule having the free carboxylic group. And this free carboxylic group is bounding to the over phenylalanine over here. It is binding. You can see this detached from over here and is binding over here. Okay, this F-met now binding to the phenylalanine like that, and this bond formation is called peptide bond formation, and this is done by a particular enzyme. This enzyme is called peptidyl transferase. Peptidyl transferase help in the formation of peptide bond between two amino acids. Okay, So this molecule is detached from over here, and it is binding to the over the phenylalanine. Okay, and they can binding the this one peptide bond. And this AUG molecule is shifted. The tRNA which is binding to the AUG, it is detached. It is detached over here. Airplane detachable. When the AUG molecule is shifted from this side to this side, then the AUG molecule is attached to the tRNA. Now the tRNA is released from the AUG. It is released. Fully good. Then the UUE molecule. This is present in the A side. When this mRNA is shifted, then what happened? From the A side now, this molecule is moving to the P side. You can see from the A side, this molecule is moving to the P side because UUE is shifted from A side to the P side. When from the P side, so when from the A side to the P side it is shifted, the tRNA is also shifted. When it is shifted, now the A side is free. Now the A side is free. When the A side is free now, for this codon, a new anticodon tRNA comes. A new anticodon tRNA comes and sit over the A side. Over here a new tRNA comes and bind. Okay, over here bind. When a new tRNA comes and bind over here, suppose you can see arginine molecule come. Okay, over here arginine molecule is there now. So arginine amino acid is there. Now what happened? Now these two amino acids are there. One is methionine, one is phenylalanine. Now the phenylalanine is detached from this tRNA. Second step is that now this phenylalanine is detached from the tRNA. And then this phenylalanine and the methionine both are binding to the arginine over here. Now the chain becomes longer. Arginine, phenylalanine, methionine, like that. Now three molecules are there. Okay? Both are detached and both are binding to the arginine, like that. And they form a new structure, arginine, phenylalanine, methionine. The chain becomes longer. The process is continued. Okay? And the whole peptide chain is shifted from the P side to the A side. They are shifting. From the P side to the A side, the amino acid chain is shifted. And the amino acid chain becomes longer and longer. Longer and longer. Okay? Every time a new amino acid comes and the chain becomes longer. And they produce a peptide bond formation. And this peptide bond formation is controlled by one enzyme. The enzyme is called peptidyl transferase. Remember, the enzyme is called peptidyl transferase. And this elongation process is continued. Okay? So this is called continuation process or elongation process of the protein synthesis. Now you go for the next one. Okay? So this step is continued. This is already discussed. Next is the termination part. Now what is termination? Last point. Okay. So the termination process of the mRNA. How the mRNA chain is terminated. Okay. So for the termination process of the protein synthesis, we need three important codon. And these codons are called nonsense codon. Nonsense codon or maybe called as a termination codon. Nonsense codon or termination codon. These three codons are important. They are called as a nonsense or termination codon. And these codons are, you can see, UAAA, UAA, UGA, and UAG. Okay? UAA, UGA, and UAG. These three are called nonsense codon or termination codon. They are found at the last of the mRNA. mRNA is what last thakibo, tat thakibo. Okay? It either may be UAA, or either may be UAG, or either may be UAG. Okay? From these three, anyone can present in the mRNA at the last point. Okay. Now see, why these codons are called nonsense codon? Because these codon do not have an anticodon complementary of tRNA. For this codon, there is no complementary anticodon of tRNA. There is no complementary anticodon tRNA. So there is no tRNA for this particular codon. Okay? So if there is no tRNA, they do not carry the amino acid. If they do not carry the amino acid, that means what? The process of translation is stopped. If there is no tRNA for this particular codon, they do not carry the amino acid. If they do not carry the amino acid, that means the process of translation is stopped. When the process of translation is stopped, then what happened? The whole process of the protein synthesis is stopped. Okay? So how it is stopped? So there is a mechanism. The mechanism is that over here we need some factors. The factors are called, basically two different factors are there. One is called release factor. These factors are called release factor. One is called release factor 1, one is called release factor 2. So two important factors are there, release factor 1 and release factor 2. So when there is no anticodon tRNA is present for this particular codon, then what happens? In the A site, when this codon is come, suppose in the A site UAA codon is come, then what happens? There is no tRNA. Then what happens? In the A site, a new protein come. This protein is called release factor. Okay, this release factor is called release factor 1. Release factor 1 comes and they can bind to the A site now. Release factor now they can bind to the A site because they can sense the nonsense codon. Release factor can sense the nonsense codon and now they can bind to the A site because there is no tRNA. So the A site is open. In the open A site, the release factor come and they can bind. Okay, you can see. For the release factor 1, they can change for two nonsense codon. One is the UAA, one UAG. If the nonsense codon is UAA or if the nonsense codon is UAG, then release factor 1 comes and they can bind. Okay. If the nonsense codon is UGA, so in this particular codon, a new release factor comes which is called release factor 2. So release factor 2 can change this codon and release factor 1 can change these two codons. Okay. So when in the A site any one of these nonsense codon come, then one release factor come, it may be RF1 or RF2, they can bind to the A site. This is terminated. Okay. And this reaction is catalyzed by the peptidyl transferase. The same enzyme peptidyl transferase is terminated the translation process and they can cut the last particular amino acid which is present in the P site. In the P site, the last amino acid is there, the last form, a long peptide chain is there. The long peptide chain, the last amino acid which is connected to the P site, the last one, this is cut down by the peptidyl transferase. When they cut down the peptidyl transferase, the long protein polypeptide chain is detached from the tRNA. The long protein peptide polypeptide chain is detached from the tRNA and they comes out to the cytoplasm. Okay? When they comes out to the cytoplasm, then what happens? This protein becomes undergo several folding patterns. This is called modification of the protein because this protein now getting inside the endoplasmic reticulum. Now this production of this protein polypeptide chain, now they getting inside the endoplasmic reticulum and inside the endoplasmic reticulum protein become folded and they become from primary protein, they can form to the secondary structure or tertiary structure they can form. Okay, so just to remember, the peptidyl transferase can ended the translation process by cutting the last amino acid which is attached to the tRNA. It can cut and the protein translation process is completely stopped. When it is stopped, now the 30S rRNA and the 50S rRNA, both the subunits, 30S subunit and the 50S subunit, they have to detach. They are united to the 70S. Now they also have to detach.
Hello, sir.
They have to detach.
Sir.
Hello? Kunisane? Okay. Now see the last point. So after the ending of the transcription, under the ending of the translation process, under the end of the translation process, what happened? 30S subunit and the 50S subunit both have to detach. Okay, because both are united together to form the 70S. Now they have to detach to each other. Okay, and this detachment of the 30S and the 50S subunit, it is done by a new factor, and RF3. This is the release factor 3. Another factor called release factor 3. Release factor 3 helps the detachment of 30S subunit and the 50S subunit. When the 30S and the 50S both are detached, mRNA molecule is also detached. mRNA molecule, 30S molecule and 50S molecule all are detached by the presence of a new factor which is called release factor 3. So release factor 3 helps in the detachment of 30S, 50S in the mRNA molecule. Okay, so this is the end of the termination factor. Okay, so these are some references from where I have taken the resources. Okay, thank you very much.